Hello there guys, it's me Unstable Voltage. Welcome back to episode 30 of Civilization 6 as Sumeria. This is most likely going to be the final video in this campaign. I was originally going for a religious victory. It's not what I was going for right from the start, but I did decide at some point in the game, let's go for a religious victory because I haven't done one of those yet. And I worked towards it, but it didn't go according to plan. I left it a little bit too late to really start trying to do that. And because none of the AI seem to be actually making any attempt to get any religious units out, it's made it very, very difficult trying to actually get cities converted. So we're going for our backup scenario, which was the scientific or the spaceship victory, or whatever you want to call it, which we really need to do, because if we delay any longer, the AI is going to win. There's only 48 turns left. It's a standard pace game, which means there's only 500 turns until it's over. And this is going to be a bit of a short video, because we're only about 6 or 7 turns away from winning. But it will give me an opportunity to talk about some of my experiences with Civilization 6 since release. And certainly keep your eye on things like this, city-states with catapults in 2026. This is like one of the things that I will want to talk about. So you can treat this almost like a little bit of a mini review if you want, if you prefer. So we'll go on to these holy site prayers here. We can go straight on to next turn. Yeah, there's 5 more turns until we win. And I did say that I was going to drop a nuke on somebody just for the fun of it before we end the game, and I do still intend to do that. So we'll certainly actually have a look and see how that works. I do have a few more missionaries that I was sending down here. I'm still going to send them down anyway, because we might actually be able to convert another city or two. We're not going to do it in sort of 5 turns or so, so not too worried about that. I guess there's been some sort of rebellion here, because again, not too sure where barbarians could have spawned in this area, but there seem to be a lot of them just appear very suddenly. And choose our production over here. Again, there's not really an awful lot worth even bothering to build with, so let's just go ahead and work on the Holy Site Prayers still. Unit needs orders, another trade route, don't really care where you go. So one way or another, even if I waffle on for quite a bit at the end, this will be a short video. Anti-tank, well, we'll still get a major victory because we're not technically a tank, we're mechanized infantry, so tanks are basically cavalry, anti-tank is basically anti-cavalry, so we should be alright. We need to get you up here, but you don't really have the room. Yeah, we need to flip a couple more cities to get it. We're not going to do that in 3 turns. Something going on somewhere. That's down here. There's Germany attacking something. Being denounced by Brazil. Always nice to know. It's a shame he doesn't have a city close by that I could nuke just for the fun of it. I think we might, I don't know whether we're going to nuke America or China. Oh, they're actually attacking me with their infantry. I'm actually quite surprised by that. And the anti-tank's having a go as well. And that's not going to do an awful lot of damage to me. And they're both melee units, so we do a fair amount of damage back. So I think we clear the camp. Makes the most sense to go and do that. And we gain a recon unit. Wow, that's special. You are going to... What are we doing actually here? Producing something. Let's just go back to doing that Holy Site Prayers again. Not that we're really using all of that. You, again, should still be counter-spying. This is getting a little bit annoying, the micromanaging of all the spies. We're 3 turns away from a win. So we'll wait 1 more turn, and then we'll do that again. Another trade route to micromanage. I mean, we do have... How many trade routes do we have? Only 6, and I've seen games where there's a lot more. We're just going to instantly disband this guy. One thing I have found out now is that you can actually delete units anywhere on the map. They don't have to be in your own territory. And if you delete them, they will... you'll still get the money for them. So that is a nice little thing there. And yet, we'll keep just doing what we can with these missionaries. We're not going to be able to flip this city. Strange graphical glitches. Oh, it's just where we've got line of sight, but it looks a little weird sometimes. Extracted a new archaeological work scroll. That doesn't really bother me. Someone stole some tech from me. Don't really care about that. I mean, we are literally just a couple of turns away from winning. Unit needing orders. That other unit is still around. Yes, we'll go and try and finish you off if we can. And indeed we can. Lost a bit more health. Okay, so let's just double check. 2 turns away. Let's go ahead and pick someone we can declare war on. Probably America, because we are probably close enough to reach them. So let's go ahead and just declare a surprise war. Actually, do we have any CBs against them? No, we don't. So we'll declare a surprise war.
If I must choose between righteousness and peace, I choose righteousness.
So we've declared our surprise war. I just want to see how the nukes look, basically. And obviously everyone's going to be denouncing me now because you get such a huge penalty for declaring war on people. So everyone's going to hate me because of that. So let's go ahead. Can we reach thermonuclear device? So I'm guessing anywhere that is in the red area we can reach. That is massive. New Orleans it is then. Commence bombing mission. Proceed. Well, that's quite a mushroom cloud. And wow, that did quite a lot. I mean, that literally took it right down to 0 health. Contaminated for 20 turns. Those things are impressive. My understanding is that the difference between a thermonuclear device and a nuclear device, it's like the difference between the the atomic bomb and the nuclear missile in Civ 5. So the nuclear device has a 1-tile radius around the city, and the thermonuclear device has a 2-tile radius around the city. But that's even managed to damage one of China's tiles as well. So I wonder how exactly they will feel about me doing that. Let's try and sabotage production over here. Again, it doesn't really matter. We're just a couple of turns away from the potential win. I really don't see how anybody else could beat me here. Even if all of the other AIs declare war on me right now, it's not really going to stop them from letting me have the win. But I just wanted to fire one and just to see what it was like, because I'd never actually used one before. We've got another one. We could go and drop another one on somebody if we wanted to, but it's a little bit pointless. We will definitely have another domination game at some point further on in the future. So we get to choose a production. Again, it doesn't really matter down here, so we're just going to go on and do that Holy Site prayers. We are 1 turn away from winning the game, so as soon as we hit next turn and the round commences, we should literally be done. Could go and drop another nuke there if we wanted to. Any more of America's cities around that we could reach? Bombing New York seems like a little bit of a dick move, but do you know what? We'll go ahead and do it anyway. We've already declared war on them, so why not? And again, that should completely take the city's health down. So if you had units nearby that you could quickly run in and grab a city, it's a really quick and easy way to get cities. Let's just go and finish off that scout. Units needing orders. Try and pop you again. Again, still isn't enough to flip it over. It's a shame because we actually got so close to the religious victory. We only needed to get Scythia and we'd have been done. Tourism, we're still kind of winning. But science, yeah, we're definitely going to win the science. This click of the button here should be game over and a victory for us. My first ever victory on Civilization 6, the release version, and my first ever victory on the King difficulty. So here goes. Obviously, it'll be at the end of the turn, and of course, as usual, we've got stuff we need to move around. We'll just, I don't care where you go, just move somewhere and do something. Try that again. Of course, America may try and attack me. No, no units nearby. Here goes. Three achievements for that. Oh, finally! Okay, remember all those achievements that have just popped up? Wow, that's a lot of achievements. That was like 10 achievements all in one go. What I will just say about that, and this is something that Civilization 5 was sorely missing. On Civilization 5, there were different achievements for completing the game on different difficulty levels. If you completed the game the first time on Deity, you'd still have to go back and complete the game on Immortal and Emperor and King and Prince and all the other difficulty levels to get all the achievements. I've just completed this on King, and it's given me the achievements for Prince, Settler Chieftain and War Chief, or Warlord, which is something that Civilization 5 desperately needed. So I'm glad that they've sorted that issue. Anyway, we've done the launch. Let's go and check out the victory cinematic.
Much as our ancestors did ages ago, we thrust forward into the unknown. The first pioneers set forth on an uneasy course. And yet once again did our people thrive. Now, under your leadership, we plot a new course and make another world our own.
Okay, so the first thing I've got to say about that, and that is honest to God, that is the first time I've ever seen any of the victory screens from Civilization 6. Even though I've watched a few other people playing the game, I've never seen any of the victory screens before. I feel that Sean Bean's narration was drowned out slightly by the music there. The cinematics volume, everything's all leveled off, but he was very, very hard to hear. And they didn't really seem like they'd put an awful lot of time and effort into those victory screens. I mean, compared to the quality of the intro that the game has, the victory screen seems very, very rushed and hardly worth the effort, really. But what do I really want to say about this game now that I have completed it? Well, first of all, one of the big concerns that people have had, especially from watching the sort of pre-release press version, was, is the AI any good? And at this point, it has to be said that the AI definitely has some problems. Now, like Civilization 5, if you play at a harder difficulty, it is definitely going to be more difficult. That's not really because the AI gets any smarter, it's because the AI receives more bonuses or the player receives harsher penalties. One other thing they did change in Civilization 6 that isn't in Civilization 5 is that combat also has penalties and bonuses based on difficulty level. So if you're actually playing on a higher difficulty level and you attack an infantryman with an infantryman, you will come off far worse than you would do on a lower difficulty level, simply because the AI gets a combat bonus based on the difficulty. Now, there are several issues that the AI certainly does still have that I think is potentially ruining the fun of the game. First of all, the AI very rarely seems to declare war on each other, and when they do declare wars, they hardly ever, if ever, take any cities at all. Even Ed Beach himself on the 2K live stream just before the game launched, even he turned around and said that he'd never seen a civilization win a domination victory, and I've never even seen a civilization take another AI's capital, or another AI city for that matter. I've seen them where they've taken city-states, but I've never really seen the AI taking cities off each other. Now, part of the problem that it has is this new system with the warmonger penalties and the CBs, the Casus Bellis. Now, it's an interesting idea, but the problem is, in the very early game, it's so easy to declare a war and win, because there's either very little or no warmonger penalty at all. And because cities don't have any defences initially, they're very, very easy to take. You can literally find somebody within the first 10-20 turns, declare war on them, take their city within 2 turns just using a couple of melee units, and that's it, there's no warmonger penalty. But later in the game, the warmonger penalty, even with a CB, the warmonger penalty for actually taking a city is so high that it's just probably not really worth it. I've also noticed other issues with the AI with trade. There's definitely still some problems there. The AI will offer you a trade. You try and modify the trade and they say no, so you put it back to their original trade and they still refuse, even though it's identical to the trade they just offered. I've also seen broken things where the AI is literally offering to willing to offer you thousands and thousands of gold and 2 of its cities just for a luxury resource. Admittedly, I've not seen that in the full game, but certainly had it happen to me in one of my press copy games, where I had one civilization trade me a city for a luxury resource, which obviously he only gets for 30 turns, then he has to trade for it again. And I had another city that was willing to, another civ that was willing to give me 2 cities for a luxury resource, which I didn't take the AI up on, because while I'm quite happy to take advantage of AI exploits, that felt a little bit too much. So the trade AI definitely needs fixing. One of the major issues seems to be with promoting units, not promoting units, upgrading units. So apart from the civilizations that have unique units that don't require a strategic resource, like Rome with the legions, for example, the AI seems to fall into the trap of it cannot upgrade its units because it doesn't have the required strategic resource. So if you start off with your warriors and you don't get any steel, you can't upgrade to swordsman. You've got to wait until you've researched musketman, and then hopefully you'll have knighter. And if you don't have any knighter, then you've got to wait until you get to the point where you can get infantry. Now, luckily, unlike Civilization 5, where you still had to go through all of the intermediary steps, you don't have to do that in Civ 6. You can promote a warrior straight to an infantry if you have the infantry tech, and you don't need to have any iron or niter to do the in-between bits. But the problem is, because of the way they've changed strategic resources so that you now only need 1 or at the most 2 to build any number of units, they've really reduced the amount of strategic resources on the map. So this often ends up with players or the AI not having access to a specific strategic resource, and it makes it very, very difficult to trade for it now, because those players and AI that do have access to it are probably only going to have 1 or 2 copies themselves and aren't going to be willing to part with it. And that is a major flaw in this game, because the AI generally tends to have outdated units until they get to the end of the game, of course, where the units don't really require strategic resources. And this, of course, is a huge problem for the city-states, because the city-states don't really ever have access to strategic resources. Occasionally they get lucky, but given the number that there are on the map, the number of strategic resources versus the number of city-states, and I don't think city-states trade, so you'll often see, like we just did at the end of this game, city-states that's still using catapults in 2020 AD. So that is certainly something that needs fixing. There are some other issues that do kind of make the game a little bit strange. The fact that it's so, or seems so easy to reach the end of the culture tree, or the end of the civics tree, and the end of the tech tree long before the game ends. You do seem to be able to burn through the text quite quickly. Maybe that's something to do with the Eureka moments not being balanced quite correctly, and you end up getting far more science from them than you should do. Maybe it is a difficulty thing, I don't know, but it still seems that you do get through the tech tree quite quickly. Very, very rarely in a game of Civilization 5, even on the easier difficulty levels, would I have actually gotten to the end of the tech tree before completing the game one way or another, so I do find that a little bit odd. I also find that the very early games, especially on higher difficulty levels, the AI does tend to declare war on you nice and early on, and you get lots of barbarians. It's very, very easy to lose a game of Civilization 6 in the first handful of turns, because you really have to get out a defensive army nice and early. As your cities can't defend themselves, you're kind of screwed if someone decides that they want to go and attack you. That being said, I am still really enjoying Civilization 6. I'm definitely going to be playing more of it. I'm not even going to say, right, I'm going to wait for a patch. I'm going to jump straight back in and have another go on the next highest difficulty. Now, that'll be a big step up, because on Emperor difficulty now, the AI actually starts with 2 settlers. In Civilization 5, the only difficulty the AI gets 2 settlers on is on Deity, on the hardest difficulty. So it is going to be quite a considerable step up. But it'll be nice to see if we can do that. But yeah, certainly I am still enjoying the game and I will be playing more of it. I do definitely think it needs a patch. I don't necessarily think that it needs content, which is something that Civilization 5 and Civilization Beyond Earth were both guilty of. It wasn't until Civilization 5 had its Brave New World expansion that it really felt like a fully fleshed out, mechanically rich game. The vanilla version and even Gods and Kings felt like it was lacking something. I don't think Civilization 6 is. Civilization 6 feels like it has everything that it needs to have. It just needs a patch to go and fix some of the issues with the AI, and this is the problem. You can't really make there's no such thing as a real AI. You can't make it that smart. You can never have it to outperform the player unless you give it bonuses and advantages and things like that, but there definitely has to be some rebalancing going on to fix all that up. Before we go out here, let's just have a quick look at the rankings. Where does it put us in? Does it show us where we are? What was our score? Is that me there, Nero 559? Was that my score? Seems very, very low down. Let's go and have a look at the replay. Mainly because I want to see if they did actually have the map replay on, like they did in Civilization 5. It doesn't look like they did. So total wonders constructed. Let's go ahead and look at total wars declared. So you can see the number of wars declared. Some cities only declared like 4 wars. Is there one that says cities taken? Total wars against player. I mean, there's just nothing really going on. Religions founded, total number of combats, great people, district, total cities lost. Look, in the entire game, there was 1 city lost, which was Rome. Rome was the only civilization in that game to lose a city, and they lost it to the player. So all of those wars that went on between the other civilizations, and only one city was captured. Oh no, some city-states were probably captured as well. But yeah, only one city lost. So that's from just civilizations. It doesn't count city-states. But yeah, there certainly needs to be something fixed. And you see my faith return towards the end, and I was still struggling. Very, very surprised that the AI didn't put out more faith units. So I think my next game will probably be as Gandhi, and we'll try and focus on a faith win from the start. But anyway, this has been my first legit victory of the retail version of Civilization 6 on King. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you're looking forward to the next one as much as I am. I'll see you on the next video, and until then, goodbye for now.